I'm Mike Benton for ThunderVision. A handful of players have skated for the Stockton Thunder and eventually moved on to make their National Hockey League debut. But a rare chance to land a player with NHL experience on his resume became reality earlier today when the Thunder signed center Jason Morgan to a contract. He has played for 5 NHL clubs. And the man who signed him joins us now, and head coach Matt Thomas. Matt, what's the meaning here behind getting a player with Jason's credentials?
Well, obviously, we were going to lose a lot of our veteran core. You had guys like Fraser Clare moving on to going over to Europe, and then Craig Vallette into retirement, and guys like Jason Pitton moving on to Europe. So for us, we really needed to look for some veteran guys to to lead the team and to be an extension of the coaching staff. And I think Jason, obviously, his resume speaks for itself. He's played in the National Hockey League. He's played a lot in the American Hockey League. He's had experience in Europe and a little bit of experience in the ECHL too. So he's well-traveled. He knows what to expect. He knows what's expected, and I think he'll be a great fit for us as we transition to a new phase here.
When it comes to recruiting, coaches in the minor leagues often talk about not just recruiting against other coaches in their league, but against the AHL, the National Hockey League, and also teams in Europe. What did it take to land a player like him this summer?
Well, I think there's two things. He's transitioning into the end of his career. He's focused on getting into coaching afterwards, so the opportunity to bring on a player assistant coach with the loss of Matt O'Dead obviously was a big reason behind it. Although we have been going down the road since when Odie was here, he's a guy that I think when you're looking for those types of guys, you're hoping to land this type of a player, a guy that can play in all kinds of situations. His roles changed previous times from his time in the National Hockey League, his time in the American Hockey League, and his time with other clubs. So for us, you're just trying to identify. You're trying to identify who's available. And I had a previous relationship with his agent, and he had a previous relationship with Matt O'Dead playing in junior together. So right off the hop, we had some people in common that we knew that were kind of acquaintances, and the dialogue started, and it just seemed like the right fit. We were really looking for kind of a first-line center type of player, a guy who's a veteran, a guy that can play in all kinds of different situations for us, but more importantly, when we get off the ice and in the room, teach the guys how to be a pro and be the right type of guy to lead the group. And we lost a lot of the guys that did that for us last year, so I think we're real excited to get a guy of Jason's caliber.
When you talk about his leadership and also his experience in the NHL, that means being exposed to players day after day like Wayne Gretzky, Rob Blake, and Jerome McGinley, and that counts as part of his resume. So how does that translate to being a leader in the minor leagues?
Well, I think the one thing you get right off the top, I think his professionalism stands out. He's an older guy for our standards in the hockey world. He's in phenomenal shape. He'll probably be one of the most conditioned guys we have in the team. And I think when you start off with a guy in a leadership role that is that committed, the young guys really take a notice to it. And I think it's and I think the great thing about a guy like Morgie is he's got so much experience on his resume, and he's had to play in so many different situations, and he's learned how to be effective in different roles and in different teams and at different levels. And I think when a guy's been able to do all that stuff, it really just starts to rub off. And I think the one thing is when you're looking at a guy who's played with some of the guys that you mentioned, and he's played against guys, and he's been at the highest level, and it's where all our guys want to go. And I think for everybody, including myself, I think we can all learn a lot from a guy like Jason Morgan for what he's been through already in his career.
When it comes to his playing style, do you use him naturally more with his playmaking skills, or do you use him in more versatile situations?
Well, I think there's one thing that you're going to get out of him. He's going to be a player that's going to be here all year. He's not a player who's looking to get called up. He's been there. He's already had that experience. For him, it's about winning a championship. He wants to be here. So I don't doubt that there's going to be times when I need him to anchor the power play, and then there's times where I need him to really concentrate on the penalty kill, or I need him to center a third-line checking line to shut down a Wes Goldie type of line, a Wes Goldie and Swanson in Alaska, that type of element. So I think, again, I keep talking about how versatile he is, and I think right up the hop he's completely play all those roles for us. I think at different times, and we all know in an ECHL season, it changes a lot. So the fact that he's been able to do all those things in his career and succeed at them, I think makes him the perfect fit for the type of guy that can really be kind of an anchor to our entire team and a constant, a voice in the dressing room that's going to be here every single day and saying the right things, and more importantly, going out and doing the right things.
It's a big advantage for recruiting, but how big is it?
You know what? I think it's big. I think everybody's looking for that type of a player. You always hope that you have a guy that you can lean on as a coach. A lot of times in this league, we don't have assistant coaches. So for me, it's a guy that I'm going to be able to bring in the office and pick his brain about what's going on with the guys in the room. And I think obviously, he's a player first, and I think that's great for the guys. But I think he can also come in and give me a little bit more insight onto that. But I think if you look across the league, everybody looks for a veteran type of player that has experience that can help lead, because it's a long season. You got a lot of young guys, a lot of guys that are green coming in from major junior or the NCAA that are good players, but they need to be taught how to do some things at certain times. And I think he's the perfect type of guy to be able to come in and do that for us.
Matt, well spoken again. Thank you.
Thanks, Spence.
Jason Morgan, a player who has 5 NHL teams on his resume, is now a member of the Stockton Thunder. I'm Mike Benton for ThunderVision.